Hello and welcome. It's Yvonne here from Women's Fitness Adventures. So excited that you're here with me for another Monday night, and this time it is the end of July. So how did the train get to the station this quickly is a question that we've all been asking, and how did we not get off at the stop that we wanted to for the past 7 months? What a roller coaster ride 2023 has been. So fast, so furious, and time is literally zipping away before our eyes. So if you're watching live, please say hello. And if you have a question, I'd love for you to answer this question, but certainly if you've got other questions for me, is did you play sport as a kid? Would be one of the questions. Sport as in, was it a school sport? Was it a team sport outside of school? Was it an individual sport? Was it just you were regularly into fitness and activities? Because that forms the basis of what we're going to chat about this afternoon, how what we may or may not have done as a child impacts what we do today as hikers. So really excited to hear your comments. So let me check in who we've got here. Hello, Carolyn. Hello, Alethea. And hello, Sharon. So a couple of New South Wales and Queensland here this afternoon. So thank you for listening in. So this afternoon I'm going to talk about, and I get questions asked a lot, especially in the lead up to our showcase, which is on Wednesday night, and a lot of questions around multi-day hiking adventures. And that's what I'm focusing on. And at the end of next week, when we come to next week's episode, we'll be switching into not talking about hiking adventures, but just different elements of hiking. So this is the last in our series of multi-day hiking adventures, and for you to ask me questions specifically as they relate to that. So let me check here. So Alethea says, I did school and outside school. I did netball, basketball, water polo, and dancing. Hello, Lee. Welcome from Sydney. Thank you for stopping in. Kerry says, from Northeast Victoria, hated sport as a child. Carolyn, netball and gymnastics. Cherie watching from Ningi. Sandra from Sydney. Marianne from Canberra. Mel from Byron Bay. Hi, Mel. Welcome. Jelena from Brisbane was a sprinter and a middle distance runner and a long jumper. A bit of tennis and netball. Wow. And Judy says, I played netball and tennis from Brisbane regularly. So the question was, did you play sport as a kid? And I've been doing some research as to, and Sandra did, hockey, dancing, physical culture, and athletics. You guys are just, wow. So, and we wonder why as women we might be a little bit busy, huh? If we did all those things as kids, then maybe that the habits haven't fallen far from the tree as we get older. So one of the, and hi, Ronnie, one of the things I've been researching, and I see this a lot, and it's about this: how do I get fit for a multi-day hiking adventure? How do I increase my pace? How do I keep up with everyone? What if I'm last? How my cardio is not where it needs to be. My legs could go all day, but I get out of breath, or I need to stop, or I fatigue easily, and all of these things. And how come some people can just pick up a plan and go with the plan, and other people get derailed, with family or work or other commitments that don't seem to, that there seems to be more steps back than forward when it comes to a hike training plan. So I've been doing a little bit of research around this and trying to figure out, if I had that magic pill, why some people are super successful when it comes to getting a training plan, following a training plan, and, to the T, and then getting on the adventure and being, super successful. Why others get a training plan, they follow it half-heartedly or half successfully, juggling things as they can, and others who leave it to the last minute. And when we divide ourselves up as people, there's lots of us that are procrastinators, that leave things to the last minute, kind of deadline dancing around that. And then some of us who are early adopters will just jump in and get on with it, and we don't want to disappoint, and we'll do all that we need to do to be the very best. So somewhere in that scale we all fit. So let me just check in. So Sandy, hi, Ronnie from South Australia. Sandy from Toowoomba. Janine says she was never allowed to do sports as your mother wouldn't let me. Being a redhead, the fear of getting burnt was instilled in you at a very early age. And, we had this conversation at book club the other night, is the stories that we were told as children, do we still hang on to those stories as we become, we're well into adulthood, I'm sure. But as we are adults, do we still hold on to some of those stories as well? And hi, Suzanne from Wollongong, you're a swimmer. Okay, so enough of you in the group listening tonight that were into sports as a child, which will probably answer some of these questions. So when I was doing the research is, why are some people successful at doing their hike training and then at hiking adventures, and others may be later to the party with their training and their commitment to following a plan and making it the priority over anything else? Because the reason I'm talking about this tonight is that all of our multi-day adventures, which are being released on Wednesday, and it's very, very exciting, Wednesday night online. If you haven't registered, please do. Even if you have no intention of going anywhere, just come along and listen to what we are sharing about places and spaces close to home and far away. But all of those adventures come with a comprehensive hike training plan, and the plan builds up slowly and builds to the peak days or the peak weeks, which is the maximum you would be doing over that adventure, and then tapers down so that when you go on the adventure, you're ready. And some people, as I said, take their plans and are like ducks to water, and you know who you are. And then others, just get derailed. So here's what I've found. I've found that, so Sandy, and hi, Karen. So the question is, Karen, if you're wondering, did you play sport as a child? And because we believe, well, the research I've been doing, I think that has an impact on how well we follow training plans. So Sandy played all sorts of sport: tennis, softball, hockey, soccer, and now golf. Okay. And Brod from Wild and Windy Tassie. Okay. Welcome, Brod. Welcome, Karen, and welcome, Sandy. So what I've found is that that our early childhood patterns of fitness have an impact on our hike training. So what that means is that if we were consistently active as children, so whether that is playing team sports or, having some set routine, such as the swimmers here, where you had to get up and do swimming at, 5 a.m. in the morning or whatever it might be, or that you were consistently outside, sorry, Janine, playing in the sunshine. As kids, we were told just go outside and play and don't come back until it's dark or you're hungry, or both. That consistent active lifestyle that we have as a child is more likely to be carried through with you as you get to be an adult. And because you see that as a joyful thing that you might have done as a child. Brod played judo, basketball, hockey, tennis mainly. And hi, Anne from Nambour. And if so that's one of the things. A consistent active lifestyle as a child will help you with the training plan. Now, don't worry, if you didn't have this as a child, I have a solution. The other thing is, if you participated in team sports as a kid, I wouldn't say I did with regularity. That team sports give you that sense of camaraderie and friendship and unwavering support, that you're all in this together. And if we remember back to that as a child, a hiking adventure, when you find the right team, gives you that same camaraderie and support and encouragement. So we bring those positive childhood memories forward into and project them forward into the hiking adventure that we're going on. If you had a limited exposure to fitness and physical activities as a child, then you may have this, there's nothing bad about this, but you may just have this neutral approach to hike training. So if those thoughts of playing sport as a kid or getting outside as a kid and always being outside and always being surrounded by people and that buzz of what the outdoor brings, if you didn't have that as a child, then you don't have that experience to draw on if you're getting into hiking now and projecting that forward, saying this experience is going to be just like when I was a kid, when I had no responsibilities other than myself to get out in the outdoors and just be and do and see. So it has, if you weren't involved in sport as a kid, there's that neutral impact where it's hard to see the benefits of what the training can bring. And if you had negative experience as a kid, I don't know if anyone here had the same as me, where we literally would go to all of the different sports and try them all out. And it was, tiring in some ways, but some of them just weren't great experiences. And if we have that negative experience, then we may go into a hike training plan or the idea of hiking with a little bit of trepidation and maybe a little bit of anxiety as well. And if I think back to it, one of the reasons that I started Women's Fitness Adventures almost 10 years ago was that we all didn't get that opportunity as kids to perhaps participate in sports as we wanted to. Maybe we moved around a lot, or maybe like the color of your hair, you weren't allowed outside in the sunshine because of fear of getting burnt. Maybe sports were expensive, or, parents didn't have the time to take you to where sports needed, or your school didn't offer it, depending what school you went to. So a lot of those things that we may or may not have experienced in childhood, the reason for starting Women's Fitness Adventures is that we don't have to be experts when we start. As adults, as women in our, whatever age we might be, it's okay to not have these skills. It's just, and we can all learn them together. We don't have to be experts. We don't have to have done it before. What I'm trying to do here is just bring some of our past experience into why some of us might find it easier to follow a training plan and others get derailed all the time. So let me just check into here. So Margaret says she was a swimmer in her younger days and it was the highlight of the week. Absolutely. Ronnie says, your parents taking us camping showed you the quiet of the countryside that you now crave. Yeah. So there's this pattern emerging that all these joyful, fun things that we had as a child, we're trying to recapture, and we can do that with our hiking. And whether that's the team spirit of the training, whether that's the camaraderie when we go onto an adventure, whether that is just all of that bundled up into one. And if we didn't have it, here's how we can recreate it or use the knowledge of that to help us with our training planning. Sandy says from Brisbane, she did mainly swimming, although dabbled with netball, basketball, softball, athletics, before intermittently going to the gym as an adult. Yeah. Wow, everybody's done a lot of stuff. So if you had a consistent active lifestyle as a kid, but you're finding it hard to stick to a training program for hiking, then, reflect on all those positive things as a kid about the sports. So Ronnie's one there is a perfect example. The quiet of the countryside, which I crave now. Look back to all of those fond memories. For me, it is, that quiet of the countryside, that getting up before dawn and having that cup of tea and watching the world wake up when I'm out in the middle of somewhere that's not my home is a great childhood memory that I like to bring forward. Everybody's cottoned on to the idea of getting up before sunrise now, though, so it's not particularly quiet. But reflect on those and bring those positive experiences into your training, because we can recreate, not to the exact same thing, but we can can't recreate that experience, but we can recreate that feeling as a kid of what those thoughts and memories meant to us. And then to make that a priority is to schedule the sessions, your training sessions, like they are non-negotiable. So for everyone there who did their swimming or netball or basketball, if you were part of the team, you could not get out of that, right? You were letting the whole team down. So when we're doing our hike training, and if you're booked onto a multi-day adventure, whether that's with us or anyone else, you are part of a team, and you doing your training, whether that's together or whether that's in whatever location you happen to be, you're committing to being part of the team. And if you let the team down, if you don't do the training, then you're letting the team down. If you pull out because you haven't done the training and it's trying to save face, then you're letting the team down. Everyone in that team, whatever that team might be, has a role to play. Coaches don't get up for swimming at 5 a.m. in the hope that the swimmers will show up. Coaches get up at 5 a.m. because they know they have a committed team. And that's the same with, functional fitness. When I teach that online, or Trish does her cardio boost, is that we're there waiting because we know we want you guys to have a successful training session because we know that the results it will give. Leanne says, netball was your sport, but because your dad was the coach, I was just the bench warmer. That's really interesting, Leanne, because I saw your post in the Stomp group as well about being the bench warmer. So you can see these experiences that we bring from our childhood into our future, that language that we talk to ourselves about. Alethea and Cherie both did ballet, jazz tap. Alethea, I don't know how you fitted anything in. Kerry says, I was terrible at sport, therefore didn't enjoy it and probably still suffer a bit with that I'm not good enough mentally with active things. Yeah, Kerry, absolutely. And that's the key is these stories, and I know we've said this before, and I know you guys will say it's absolutely true of me, is that I was always told I was not a good singer, right? So I just went along with that story. I know I'm not a good singer, but if I was told I was, a moderate singer, I might have actually then showed up to some singing classes or sessions and stuff like that and changed the stream of where I went, and your functional fitness sessions would be very, very different to what they are now. Hated water polo training at 5. Sandy says played soccer, rep soccer for many years, and training 5 days a week was intense. And if you didn't show up, you were off the team. Absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Alethea. So, schedule those training sessions as non-negotiable appointments. So if you weren't doing fitness as a kid, what were those things as a child that were non-negotiable that you had to show up for, that you were part of a team, that people were counting on you, and back then we probably all lived really close together, but how did you feel if someone from the team didn't do their work? Or how did you feel if you didn't show up and let the team down? So those feelings, you guys are too kind with my singing. So if you participated in team sports as a kid, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That show up, that camaraderie, that support of each other. You look at the Matildas now in the soccer, and Sam Kerr, who wasn't able to play for the first few, but they were doing it with her being in their head the whole time. And it was about the team. Everyone in that team, whether they were there or not, had a role to play. So we want to view our hike training, our training for that multi-day adventure, as a team sport, that there are 10 of you on the team or however many. So on our adventures, there's somewhere between 8 to 15 at the most, and every single person on that team is the player of that team, and it's a team sport, and when the team works, the dream works. So that is the most important thing, and by joining that group or joining that team makes such a difference. But if you had limited exposure to fitness as a child, limited exposure to group sport, depending, it could be, if you've come from the farm, or live rural and remote, it might be quite hard to be able to get into team sports as a kid. The school might not have been big enough, it may not have traveled. Then if there's that neutral approach to training, is that you want to be part of it but don't really understand how a team works, guys, I'm just going to have to stop you there. Carolyn, that is ridiculous. You do not do functional fitness for the singing. Just stop right there. You guys are just too kind. So if you didn't do sport as a kid, but you are doing hiking now, or you want to get into hiking now, so Couch to Mountain people are talking to you in particular, is that you want to embrace that newness. It's okay not to know how to do everything. It's okay not to have been part of a team before, but have a think about what gift you've been given. You've been given the gift that someone is literally holding your hand for 6 months. And I guess with any of our multi-day adventures, we are holding your hand for whatever months of the training period, and then holding your hand together side by side, or holding hands on the adventure, so that the whole team achieves the outcome of that adventure. And if we embrace that newness, that it's okay not to know everything, it's okay to start here and have a gap to get to there and a gap to get to there, but it's okay to relish in the gain as well. So embrace all that newness and know that you don't have to know everything when you start. You just have to have that spirit of commitment and forward focus that you are part of a team. You're part of something bigger than you when you go on a multi-day hiking adventure. And have a think about, and I know this is going to sound a bit woo-woo, the self-reflection. So if we go back to Leanne's comment, your dad was the coach, so you were a bench warmer. If you think about that self-reflection, you're not the same person you were all those years ago. Or Janine, I know you do outdoor stuff now. How do we break some of those stories that we've been telling ourselves, and just to get a little bit reflective of it and take forward who you are now, not who you were. And then if you had some negative fitness experiences as a kid, and some people did, if I was never chosen for the hurdles because I'm not tall enough, and I was always chosen last on the running teams, but I'm not that girl that I was back then. I'm a runner now, but I was not a runner as a child. I used to fake falling over when I would do the running races at school because I didn't want to come last, so I just would fake falling over. We then, if we had that negative experience, we go into things with fear and doubt, and that, can I do it? Am I? What if? All that stuff. So that's really important to just start to break that down and practice that really good thing called positive self-talk, and just be kind to ourselves, because if we were talking to our best friend the way we all talk to ourselves, we wouldn't have any friends. We can be really rude and mean and ugly to each other, or to ourselves, sorry. So, just bear that in mind about your fitness experience going forward and going back. And then if as a child you weren't active at all, and we all have different childhoods, and that's what makes us all wonderful people, then the habits that an active child creates or active parents create, you may not have. And then that's just another little hurdle to push through. But there's no reason with, acknowledging where you are now and where you want to be, that you can't get to that. And that could be, that as a kid you were active, but you didn't do hiking, you didn't do swimming, you didn't do, for example, our Tarkine adventure has kayaking. And I had the question today, I'm not a kayaker, I haven't done that before. I can't do the Tarkine because there's kayaking on it. Well, the short answer is you can. You don't have to know how to do everything. Hiking is about putting one foot in front of the other and then creating that habit. When you have created the habit, whether you're bringing in great habits from childhood or habits that didn't serve you as childhood, the results are still going to be the same. Put that one foot in front of the other. And then when you get the habit and get that happening regularly, then you just keep stepping it up further and further. And it's the same with kayaking. If you have never done kayaking before, it's not like we're going, here's your kayak, off you go, see you in a couple of hours. On the Tarkine or on any of our adventures, if you haven't done something before, the reason it's in there is because it's part of the enjoyment of the adventure. And that Pieman River in the Tarkine in Tasmania is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And the reflections that come up, but they're two-person kayaks. So you get matched up with a person that can paddle. You get taught how to paddle. You get to wear a life jacket. You're never far from the edge. You're never far from safety, and you're not put in an unsafe situation. So this is a perfect example of never having done that as a child, is that we initially will freak out and go, I can't do that. But then we just need to start to break things down and go, yes, I can. I'm a grown woman. I have all the skills. I have everything I need inside of me to start preparing myself for this multi-day adventure if I want to do it. So that is the key. If you want to do it, you have everything inside you. The question is, don't do it for anybody else. Simply do it for yourself. So I hope that has been helpful about how, some people are just super successful with their training. They will follow our plan to an absolute T. They'll have it printed out. It's all over their fridge. They're marking it off and checking it twice and all sorts of things, and are super successful. That's their way of doing it. Others maybe don't have it in the same format, but we'll follow the plan. And then others are too many things get in the way, and all of a sudden, help, I'm not going to be ready. So some of what we bring from our childhood factors into how we go about mastering our training plans. So that's some food for thought for this week, and hopefully that's been helpful. But remember, you have everything that you need inside of you, and is it the stories that you bring from your childhood that may be determining how you train or think about training or think about doing a multi-day adventure? So I'd love to hear more comments on that. You can keep them going after we finish here. So just a quick reminder that Showcase or Cardio Boost for members is on tomorrow afternoon. Christine, it's a bit challenging when you work full-time. Yes, it is a bit challenging when you work full-time. However, I was talking to, we had our Welcome to Hiking group on Saturday, and yes, everything is challenging when you work full-time. But we also need to look at it through the lens of asking a better question, what can I do when I work full-time? So that could be that you use 10 minutes of your lunch hour to walk the stairs, or you park 10 minutes away. And I know it sounds cliche, and I know it sounds, said 100 times before, but the fact is you're working full-time. That isn't going, well, as best I know, isn't going to change. So what can you do now, rather than be that weekend warrior? What can you do during the week that might help? It could be when you get home from work, is that you do a 15-minute yoga online. It could be when you get home from work that you do a quick walk around the block, or it could be you get up 5 minutes earlier and do, 5 laps of your house. So it's the little things, not the gap we're looking at. It's what we can do with the small time frames that we have. And I think we might have just get rid of that person. I think that we always seem to think we have to have huge chunks of time, and we don't. We just need to look at those small little opportunities. 5 minutes when you are, what was I doing? Some planks at the gym the other day he said 2 minutes. I could only do 1 minute of this particular style of plank. 1 minute seems a long time when you're doing something like that, but 1 minute is not a long time when you're doing this. So just have a think about those opportunities. It could be if you catch the train, instead of sitting down, you're standing up on the train and practicing pulling your belly button to your spine. So just a couple of things. I seem to have someone spamming at the moment. So I have blocked them. So hopefully that was helpful for everyone. So Cardio Boost tomorrow night. Wednesday night is Showcase. Now remember, this is how it works. If you have questions, hopefully you've sent them in. If you are a member, you get first dibs. So members with the expressions of interest tag get first go. The first 24 hours is for members with expressions of interest. As we talk through the adventures, they will open up. So you will only be able to book in if you have the expression of interest tag and you are a member. After that, the next 24 hours will be for all members, and then the next 48 hours will be for anyone on the website. So by Friday night, if you are wanting something and haven't booked in, it does open to the general public if you're a member. So just please be mindful of that. But don't rush. There is an adventure there for everyone, and making sure that you pick the right adventure for you. Don't pick one on hope that you're going to be able to train for it. Pick one that you know you will train for, whether you work full-time, whether you live remotely. Pick one that excites you, but you know that you will push aside things to make the training a priority, because it's worth it. And think back to those things as a child think back to those things as a child that brought you joy, about being active, being part of a team, that commitment, that team spirit, that sense of achievement and elation and joy. Alethea, it sounds as stressful as Taylor Swift tickets. Not really. There's an adventure for everyone, and things have a way of working themselves out. And we have tried in the past just to drip feed them, and people said they didn't like that. So we do showcase, and then we do have this little bit of intensity at showcase. But I think everybody appreciates knowing in advance what's coming up. So that is why we're doing it this year. So anyway, hopefully everyone is well. Thank you for joining in. And if you are new here, thank you for stopping by. I hope you've enjoyed it. And I look forward to catching up with you during the week, either at Showcase or Functional Fitness on Thursday. And until then, take care. See you then. Bye.